Another superhero movie, another chance for people to make the most disingenuous, downright awful takes you could hear come out of someone's mouth. I don't really care if you like or dislike the movie. You can have personal qualms with it, whether it be because of its visuals, certain changes from the source material, character designs, it's all subjective. However, it starts to get ridiculous when people try to create false narratives or fabricate problems about a movie's plot that are never actually present in said movie. Or it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of a particular character and their mythos. So what are some of the worst takes in regards to the latest Superman movie? I'm not going to sit here and address a huge amount of common talking points made against the movie. These are just a few absurd ones I've heard. Most of you have probably seen it by now, but just in case, I'll be going over spoilers for the movie, so this is your heads up. The first point of contention I want to address is the claim that Superman in the movie was too weak or that he was unjustifiably nerfed throughout the course of the narrative.
Oh, come on, man.
If you actually paid attention to the movie's events and took into account the context behind certain scenes, I'm not sure how it's possible for someone to come to this conclusion. On the surface, it might appear as if he's not super powerful because he isn't one-shotting characters left and right, assuming that's what some people wanted Superman to do in this movie or something. But when given the information on the power set of characters like Ultraman, it makes perfect sense. The very beginning of the movie establishes that Superman is the most powerful metahuman in the DCEU, and his fight with the Hammer of Bravia was the first time Superman ever lost a fight in his 3 years as a superhero. Lex Luthor with ease created a genetic copy of Superman with just a single strand of his hair, who has all the same strength feats and abilities. Superman was basically fighting himself if he had prep time, since Lex would give out the proper commands on how to counter Superman's attacks in any physical altercation. We're talking about the same Lex who went out of his way to study Superman for years and memorize over 2,500 fight moves. The Luthor Corp employees state this verbatim after Superman gets his butt whooped by the Hammer of Bravia.
It's been studying him for years.
He's developed over 2,500 fight moves for any situation.
On top of that, Superman was only 83% healed after his first encounter with the Hammer of Bravia. Arguably the most impressive feat from this Superman comes from his time in the Pocket Universe. We know Superman was exposed to kryptonite for upwards of a day, since Lex says he'll be back tomorrow to get the answers he needs. While Metamorpho was able to replicate certain properties of the sun to give Superman enough juice to break out of his jail cell, he still wasn't fully healed. Yet he was still able to survive being in an anti-proton river for an extended period of time.
Whoa, an anti-proton river. This place is filthy with black hole vortexes, and that anti-proton river will tear us apart in seconds.
Then he was able to resist the pull of a black hole with just his breath, all while not being at full strength, and had to worry about the safety of Krypto and baby Joey. I also find it funny when a certain group of people are gonna paint the new Superman as too weak, but do not hold that same standard with Superman and Man of Steel, who was getting his butt whooped by Feyora Ul and Namek. To clarify, I don't think he was at all weak in that movie, and his performance against the other Kryptonians makes perfect sense. Dude was getting jumped by people with similar strength, but had far more combat experience. They were literally military soldiers from Krypton. But I bring that up because the logic people have in painting David Cornsweet's Superman as a weakling is solely under the basis of him being pummeled in instances without actually understanding the context as to why. It's like if you watched the movie on mute and only watched some of the fight scenes, you'd come to that conclusion. Yet if we applied the same logic to Henry Cavill's Superman, all of a sudden it's crickets. On another point, don't some of y'all like to bitch and moan about how Superman is too overpowered and boring because you think most things can't harm him? We have a movie where Superman isn't completely invulnerable, but it's done in a believable manner, yet he's too weak to be a competent Superman?
He is not the Man of Steel. He is not invulnerable. He gets his ass kicked routinely. He gets locked up.
Another talking point I've seen floating around centers on Supergirl's cameo near the end of the movie, where she shows up to the fortress drunk to pick up Krypto. Oh my god, James Gunn ruined Supergirl. This is just a downright disservice. The Supergirl from the Arrowverse was way better. First off, I think it is absolutely insane to compare the version of a character from a 6-season television series with 126 episodes in total to a 50-second cameo near the end of a movie. The Supergirl in the Arrowverse was practically a gender-bent Superman, down to her occupation as Kara Danvers and her overall personality. They had Superman characters like Jimmy Olsen and Cat Grant be series regulars in the first couple of seasons. The DCU is clearly trying to distinguish the two. The difference in their personalities isn't something Gunn came up with on the fly. The basis of the Supergirl movie is the Woman of Tomorrow book written by Tom King. If you read the book, you would know that within the first 8 pages, You see bright as day Supergirl drunk on a planet with a red sun to celebrate her 21st birthday. While Clark was raised by loving parents from when he was an infant, Kara watched everyone around her die for the first 14 years of her life. Woman of Tomorrow showed that the part of Krypton containing Argo City was split off from the planet when it first exploded, but the turf of the city would begin to poison its residents due to the starlight of approaching yellow suns around them, changing the chemical composition of the rocks below the planet. There were around 18,000 people in Argo City after Krypton blew up, but 13,000 of those people eventually died from kryptonite poisoning. About a year afterwards, everyone on the planet died, but before his own death, Kara's father, Zor-El, built a rocket to send her away and ensure her survival. She experienced all of this at just the age of 14. What exactly do you think an experience like that is going to do to a person? I don't know exactly how her origins will be portrayed in her upcoming movie, but I can guarantee you'll get a clear understanding as to why she is the way she is. At this point, some of y'all just need to wrap it up and start reading some of the books. I promise you it's not rocket science.
Wrap it up. Let's go.
The way some people wanted Superman to act in this movie, devoid of any emotion or personality, is exactly why the general audience believed him to be a boring character for the longest time. I remember when clips or trailers would come out and some people would complain that he's too emotional or not stoic enough. Nigga, did you want him to just mew an aura farm for 2 hours and 10 minutes with some cool fight scenes here and there? Looking at some of the reactions to certain clips is even funnier with actual context. Oh, Superman's overreacting when talking to Lex Luthor. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not like he just found out his biological parents wanted him to start a harem and enslave the planet, witnessed public opinion turn on him in an instant despite the good he's done over the years, only to find out that Lex infiltrated the fortress, destroyed the Superman robots, and worst of all, he kidnapped the dog. All this shows me is that Lex is immaculate at rage baiting.
I don't know what dog you're talking about. Ugly dog in a cape.
What did you say?
I didn't say anything.
The whole point is that while biologically speaking he's an alien, Superman is as human as the average man. They are in no way, shape, or form subtle about this ideology in the movie. If you somehow disagree with that, you have the same mentality as the main villain.
I'm as human as anyone. I love, I get scared, and I try to make the best choices I can. I screw up all the time. That is being human, and that's my greatest strength.
God forbid Superman has the traits of an average human being, demonstrating sadness, anger, or even cracking a joke or two with someone. That's a big no-no. We all know Superman would never do such a thing in any piece of media.
I don't know if I'll be fast enough to get it before the wound closes.
Where's the Flash when you need him?
Do me a favor and lose the sense of humor.
Do us both a favor. Buy one.
She died.
No. Why is it the good villains never die?
Clark, what the hell are good villains?
We're surrounded. I can hear them coming.
I suppose it's useless to tell you to leave.
I wouldn't miss this for anything.
Your funeral.
Already had one.
Your cousin just torched $50,000 worth of custom hardware.
Send me the bill.
On a reporter's salary. Right.
Last quick point I want to tackle is the notion that it's somewhat hypocritical to scrutinize Batman vs Superman setup for the Justice League, teasing certain characters that were set up to appear in future movies, but it's fine to have the Justice Gang President Superman. These two instances are in no way, shape, or form the same thing. The scene where Wonder Woman looks at the email Bruce sent her containing video footage of the metahumans from Lex's files has pretty much zero bearing on the plot. That scene was purely for setting up the Justice League and nothing else. If you remove that scene entirely from the movie, nothing about the core narrative changes. All it does is just break the pacing. The members of the Justice Gang do impact the plot in some way. Mr. Terrific helped locate Superman after he was captured in the Pocket Universe and assisted in his escape. Even though Metamorpho was the conduit of the kryptonite poisoning, he did eventually aid Superman in escaping his cell. Mr. Terrific worked alongside Superman in the third act to prevent the rift from tearing apart the planet, while Metamorpho, Green Lantern, and Hawkgirl helped in the Jahan-Por-Bravia conflict. Their intervention was crucial because Gurkos wanted to kill every Jahan-Porian who was on the border. You can dislike the movie and its characters all you want. Some of the deviations from the source material may not work for you. Maybe it's the pacing, screen time of some of the characters of the cast, whatever doesn't tickle your fancy. But for the love of God, if you're gonna critique a movie, at the bare minimum actually watch the movie and not leave out important context. Some of the takes I've heard over the past several weeks have just left me dumbfounded. I'm not sure if I even scratched the surface of a lot of the disingenuous arguments that people are making, but if I were to tackle them all, I'd probably be here all day. These are just some of the few that I thought were worth addressing. Regardless, the gun hasn't jammed yet, and we're going to be in for a treat these next few years for the DC brand.